Well, hello, this is Peter Combs from Bitamount.com, BitamountLive.com, and P.O. Combs Asian Art in Gloucester, Massachusetts. And today is September 15th, 2021. In this video, we're going to do a quick preview, well, not too quick, but a preview of the upcoming Asia Week sales that begin next week in New York City for the fall series of sales. Last week, we talked a bit about the Doyle sale, and there's some very, very nice lots in there. And there's coming up, there's some Japanese, very good Japanese material coming up in New York. Buddhist and Himalayan art, of course, is going to be well represented. All of the catalogs are currently loaded onto the Bitamount.com site for future reference. If you want to look at them down the road, come to the home page, click the catalog, the orange box, catalogs, and so forth. Brings you over here, and the most recent catalogs are always in the top row. The only ones that are missing right now are the two Bonham's snuff bottle sales. There's a couple of very good sales of snuff bottles, including one of the Curtis collections, and that will be up later on. I'm processing the PDF files right now so we can get them in the catalog format. So, anyway, without further ado, let's take a look. I thought I'd go through, and I've plucked out some of the pieces that caught my eye between Sotheby's, Bonham's, and Christie's that I thought were particularly interesting for one reason or another, and I'll get into them. It's not all based on price. It's sort of based on rarity, form, style, and other aspects that I think make things interesting. But we're going to start here, and one of the most interesting lots in all of the sales coming up is this robe. This is an imperial yellow ground with lots of blue on it, but yellow ground Qianlong to Youngzheng period Kesi robe. This is done in the Kesi technique versus the regular dragon, blue ground dragon silk robes you see with all the embroidery on it. This is all Kesi work. And if you pull it in, you'll see what I'm talking about. The detail and quality and color and everything on this robe is absolutely stupendous. And if you want to get a sense of what this thing is probably going to do at auction, you only have to look back a couple of years, because they sold a somewhat similar robe, but I don't think quite as nice, a couple of years ago. And it was a hell of a fine robe, and it ended up selling for $750,000, this one. This one has yellow sleeves. That's about the only difference as far as the immediate look goes. But this one was not as detailed as the example that's coming up. It is a really great robe. I'm not putting it down. A $750,000 robe. It was, as you can see, this is the robe that sold before. Beautifully decorated, nice embroidery, good color, and all that. But the other robe has some features on it that this robe does not have. One of them is the lack of development in the skirt. This is the one that sold a couple of years ago, and you notice the wave pattern is somewhat abbreviated on here, which happened as you got into the 19th century further and further. And here's the other one, and you notice that there are 2 or 3 extra layers of waves across the bottom, and the rocky outcropping here at the bottom is a bit bolder, a bit bigger, a bit more pronounced, just slightly. The colors are a little more eye-catching on the example that's coming up, and I think the dragons are detailed better. They stand out better, and the colors, I think, are slightly more vibrant. The colors on this thing are absolutely splendid, and I don't see any indication that it was ever worn by anybody. I mean, somebody might have put it on for 2 minutes just for the heck of it, but it looks like it was, woven in the early 19th or late 18th century, folded up, put in a box, and that was it. I don't think it was ever out anywhere. And you look at the banding here across the closure. This beautiful groundwork here is superb, and this very, very fine brocade and whatnot. And there are no creases, there are no pulls, there are no fades, there are no stains, there are no nothing. And I think it's probably going to do as well as the other robe did. I think it should anyway. We'll find out how well the robe market's held up, but I wouldn't be surprised if this went beyond what the other robe brought. We'll see. Maybe I'm crazy. Who knows? All right, now over here to this. Yale University is decided apparently to deaccession a couple of things, and one of them is this really beautiful pair of Youngzheng period Famille Rose Rooster Jars. And the thing that's really nice about these are big. These jars came in a variety of sizes, but these are on the big end. These are almost 24 inches tall each. Superbly decorated, very, very beautiful pure white bodies, lovely soft colors that transition in varying shades, just absolutely great. Hold on a second, let's I'll just pull this one up, I guess. I thought that maybe there were more images. Anyway, here you are. And you notice the very nice subtle use of white enamel here. And then you have these beautiful violet colors. And then the shading of the famille rose going from almost blood red to pink, light pink, almost white on the tips. And the beautiful shading of green. And then that nice egg yolk yellow on the rooster and his red head there. Very, very bright, very strong, very vibrant, all the way up, and this beautifully proportioned roux head patterned with sort of that fish roe pattern going around the top, and then more famille rose with flowers blooming into the lid, and then another layer of ruby heads and devices with a gold finial on top. One of them, as you can see here, the finial's been repaired. That's about it. The other one looks fine, but that's all there is to it. And these vases are estimated, I think, pretty reasonably. I think the estimate tells you they're there to be sold, $20,000 to $30,000, and I wouldn't be surprised if they went well beyond that. And they're also from Yale. They're selling this. These are for famille rose buyers. This is a soldier vase, and they call them, it's because of its size. This is an enormous vase. The other two vases were 24 inches tall. This one is 54 inches tall. It is a beast, and it is really beautifully decorated. Really, really beautiful decorated. It has three sides with these open leaf cartouches with flowers and phoenix and pheasants, rather, not phoenixes, but pheasants in varying positions, posed different ways as you rotate the vase. You can see the bird in different positions, and the flowers, of course, are all different. Here you have two of them, a male and a female, resting on a rocky outcropping, and the beautiful, beautiful enameling. Notice the dense famille rose and very, very soft fading into this soft pink color all the way up, and then you have the beautiful transition from this strong aqua blue to this beautiful pink. They're very complementary colors. They work together beautifully, and then up over the neck. Sweep of the neck goes in, squares up to receive the lid, and you have these nice, soft, very pinkish skin tones forming roux heads and so forth with precious objects, and then up over the lid surmounted by a foo lion, of course. Why not? And it is just a splendid vase. Estimated at $30,000 to $50,000. Now, these are estimated. This vase is estimated at more than the Youngzheng example, even though it's just a single. And the reason is simple: is that 24 vases and jars, when they got to be over 20 inches, were pretty rare. And then when they made vases that were 24, 25 inches, very desirable, nice big sizes, highly unusual. Once you get over 25 inches and even over 30 inches, the prices rise exponentially. And when you get up to something that's 54 inches, for every 54-inch vase you find of something of this size in this palette from this period, you're going to find 20 or 30 vases that are 20 or 25 inches tall. These are just much rarer, much more rare, just crazily rarer examples. And we know the story of the famous Augustus the Strong Kangxi soldier vases, among the most desirable vases out there today, and they're just in blue and white. But here you have spectacular enameling done a few years later, and a nice big vase. So we'll see what that does. But the estimate's 30 to 50,000, and don't be surprised if it doesn't go through that. And then other interesting stuff is the George Walter Vincent Smith Museum from Springfield, Massachusetts. You may remember a couple of years ago, a year or so ago, they deaccessioned some jade lots that were very, very well received in the auction market. Mr. Smith was an ardent collector. He bought everything pretty much prior to 1910. A lot of it was bought in the 1890s. He was a wealthy New England guy. He lived in a huge house in western Massachusetts. He eventually turned the house, and he built a museum with it and donated everything he owned to the arts and so forth. And he was legendary New England collector. And in the catalog, they have pictures of the house, how it looked back in the day when he had his stuff in there. Very fascinating. He also collected Persian rugs. He collected everything. He was a true Renaissance guy. And but he was particularly fond of jades and cloisonne, and he liked monochromes, and we're going to see some of the monochromes he bought. But he had this. He loved cloisonne, and this was a big garniture set. of Chinlung period that he had. And there was a lot of cloisonne in the sale. I think there's probably 30 or so lots from this museum in here. And none of it has ever been auctioned before. So this is very exciting stuff. You have the biggest piece in the center is 16 inches tall, beautiful incense burner with this massive reticulated finial on top. And a lot of the pieces he had, he tended to gravitate toward these pieces with great big finials on them. He liked them, I guess. But this one is spectacularly decorated all the way around. All the gilding, everything on all the pieces look great. And as you can see, this one has pricket sticks in it. And pricket sticks, in the early days of the Yuan period, they didn't have pricket sticks in their garnishes, in their altar sets. They just had the two gu-form vases and then the burner. And during the Yongle period, during the Ming Dynasty, they added pricket sticks, and they were introduced to the Chinese actually from the Middle East based on metal forms that they imported, and the Chinese took to them and decided to make them in cloisonne, and here they are in the Chinlung period, what they turned into, very elegant and wild. And this is a beautiful set. It's not marked, but it is Chinlung, and estimated at $100,000 to $150,000, but big. These are big pieces, 16 inches tall. I wouldn't be surprised if some other institutions would start chasing these. And then there's this one. This is another one that he had. This is just a few of them. I don't have, you go to the catalog and go through and see all the cloisonne. These are the ones that jumped out at me. Is this a large single incense burner? This was a big one. This was 19 inches, 19 and 3/4 inches tall, just about 20 inches tall. Again, spectacular quality. Beautiful bronze work on the side, beautiful gilding. You'll notice the gilding universally in all of his pieces were in great condition. The reticulated vine work to let the smoke out with these roux head devices is beautifully done. And then you have these recessed cartouches with relief work flowers on them, and then going up to this beautifully cast finial with wrapped leaves scrolling around, and the creatures on the side, and right down to the dragons supporting the dragon head supporting the whole piece. Just just mind-bogglingly great. Estimated at $40,000 to $60,000, and I think that's pretty reasonable. I'm really curious to see how well these do. I think these are going to exceed the estimates. They're not marked in period, but they are Chinlung, so we'll see. Now this is one of the mystery pieces in the sale, and some of the things that caught my eye right away was that Christie's did not date this. A beautiful piece of blue and white, a really unusual form. There's no date. Just says unusual reverse decorated blue and white pricket sticks. And this sort of reverse decoration came in during the Ming Dynasty. It was something that they sort of developed. And there's a book, John Carswell, the former scholar at Sotheby's and expert on Islamic art and porcelain Chinese. He wrote a book on blue and white, and he talks about this reverse blue and white technique and why it was so visually successful. But at any rate, that's an aside. It's worth getting the book, though. He's a nice man. And he writes, he's a brilliant guy. This one has, the base is inscribed with a Wan Li 6-character mark. Now, this is interesting. The mark is a little bit fudged up, but I don't know. This is the mark right here. And they're not dating it as Wan Li. They're not dating it as anything. They're not saying it's Qing. You know that it was bought, before 1910. But I'm looking at the work, and everything about it says Wan Li, or even Jiajing. But if there's a Wan Li mark, it can't be Jiajing, obviously. But you look at the decoration on this, and the only thing I can think of is it's either Wan Li with a slight error in the mark, or it's early Qing, possibly Kangxi period or something. But obviously made for some special purpose. Because I can't think of this form being anywhere. I've never seen this form before. They don't reference in the description. They don't say, similar to. There are no references to this shape anywhere. It's clearly old. It's clearly superbly well done, and they were unable to put a date on it. Now the estimate I think is very reasonable, $10,000 to $15,000. That's a come hither sort of estimate. And if you're a blue and white collector, and it's 11 inches tall, it's just a hair under 12 inches tall, 11 3/8. This is a fantastic thing. Whether it's late Ming all the way up to mid Qing, who the heck cares? This is an absolutely wonderful object. And if one of you out there that sees this video know where there's another one like it, email me the picture. I'd love to know where the other one is. Where is the other one? Because this is one of two. This was obviously, it might have, not obviously, but it may have been made as a pair, possibly as a big garniture set. I don't know. But amazing quality, beautifully decorated, and obviously rare as all can be. And we're going to find out after the sale how it does. But I think this is one of the really, not the most expensive, but really interesting objects that's turned up. And not surprisingly coming from a very, very old collection, one of the great American collections. All right, so there. And also from the Smith collection is this compressed bottle vase with this beautiful color. It's 18th century, matte finish glaze, but beautiful strawberry color. They talk about peach bloom vases being having the color of crushed strawberries. Well, this is crushed strawberries on steroids. This is absolutely great. There's no mark on it. It's just a beautiful, beautiful 18th century vase, 6 inches tall, and just fabulous. And it's estimated at $5,000 to $7,000, but the color is amazing. And then last thing I think from that collection we're going to talk about is this. I get a lot of inquiries from people that have things and they bought something and they've been told it's made of Zeton wood. And 99 times out of 100, it's not Zeton, it's some other kind of dark wood. This is Zeton wood. And it's a massive, very unusual table. It's about 8 feet long, superbly well carved. This is they've included 17 photographs of this beast in here because it's so rare. It is just so rare. Amazing quality. Chinlung period. There's a good detail shot. There it is. I'm going to blow this up. This is, the absolute peak of Chinlung furniture making. And notice the archaic relief work all around here, and that this is the color of Zeton. They call it purple wood. Just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful color. Superb quality carving all the way down. And this table is in stunning condition. Even the feet. You always look at the feet on these old tables to see how worn they look, because often the feet on Chinese furniture gets very worn over the years. And this still has the little nib on the bottom that they left behind to help support the table over the years. That's a sign. I don't know where he got this, but the condition of the table's stupendous. And estimated at $300,000 to $500,000. And given what furniture's been doing lately in the Chinese auction world, especially Ming furniture, we're going to find out what an Imperial Chinlung Zeton table of this size would bring. And don't be surprised if it blows that estimate to pieces, because it is the best of the best, and it's massive. This is a giant piece of Zeton, and 90-something inches long, as I recall, 92 3/4 inches long. 21 inches wide. This is a great big beast of a table, and they have pictures of it in the catalog at the museum, how they were using it. They were using it as a display table for some garnitures and cloisonne pieces. All right, and now over to Sotheby's. They have a lot of great stuff too, and one of the things they have is this. This is a really great a European subject matter enamel snuff bottle done at the Imperial Workshops in Beijing at the Palace of two Europeans, and the gentleman in the tricorner hat and the lady beautifully decorated with flowers in her hair, and she's holding up a glass sort of in celebration, cheering at the onlooker. Superb condition. This comes from I think this is from the Painter collection, and just an absolutely elegant, beautiful bottle with a gilt bronze lid. And the estimate on this is big, $300,000 to $500,000 US, but extremely rare. European subject matter done at the Imperial Workshops. And let's see what else they say on here. It was bought at the American Art Galleries in New York. Initially, it appeared Let's see, it came from the collection of A.W. Barr, major collector, and then it was sold at the American Art Galleries in New York. They were sort of the Sotheby's of the day. They used to handle great auctions. They handled auctions. They partnered with Yamanaka. They did amazing sales. And this was in the sale of January 1916, lot 93, and it was bought by Kenyon Painter, the senior, and then Maud Wyeth Painter, who died in 1971, and then it's been in the family ever since. All right, that's good provenance, and $300,000 to $500,000. And then over to this. This is the bronze that belonged to the artist from New York, right? Garrett Kerman. He wasn't a particularly famous guy, but he was fairly well known in New York. He was an artist, photographer, this sort of thing, and he had a great eye. And he bought these back in the 1950s. Beautiful pair, about a little over 11 inches tall, Chinlung marked incense burners with that deep relief that they did for a bit and during the Chinlung period. There's a big set of these at the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston, with that deep bronze casting relief work on them. The color of these is just amazing. It's so warm. It's like liquid chocolate, and just a crisp, sharp, stupendous quality casting all the way through. And we'll see how they do. They should do very well because they're beautiful. $200,000 to $300,000. They've not been on the market, I don't think, since he bought them. Right? No, he passed away back in 2012, and maybe one of his heirs or his partner is selling it. But at any rate, they've been off the market for half a century. They don't know. He doesn't know where. Apparently, they don't know where he got them. He just know that he bought them in the 1950s somewhere. He may have bought them at Park Benet. Who knows? All right, and then on to this. This is one of the big deals of all of the auctions coming up. This is the gilded Chinlung Marken period altar set. This is an amazingly rare thing. They are. Let's see here. The biggest piece is 14 inches. Gilded porcelain. Of this quality, they didn't do any gilding of porcelain really until the Kangxi period, because it was so hard to do successfully, and even harder to do successfully on 5 pieces, and harder to do it successfully and perfectly on 5 pieces. And there's a very, very good article in the catalog. If you haven't seen the catalog yet, go read it. And it explains a great deal. It was written by Regina Carl, and it explains a great deal about how these are made, the difficulty in making these, because it's gilt on porcelain. All right, and the deal with gilt on porcelain is when you're gilding porcelain, when you fire the gilding, it has to be at the exact right temperature. You can't be too low, or the gilding will just fall off. It won't stay. It won't stick. It won't laminate itself to the porcelain. And if it's too high, it begins to bead and contract and becomes bumpy and gets fouled up. And if the gilding isn't all pure, if the gold has any impurities in it, or there are any impurities on the surface when the gold is applied, it'll blister and it'll fail. All right, and so as a result, they did very little of it. And in the article, she actually has a list of orders of gilded pieces that were done by the Imperial Palace year to year. And it's not that big a list. And these are absolutely stupendous. And they come with spectacular provenance. The provenance on these is about as good as any provenance could be, other than a letter from Chinlung saying, "These were mine and I loved them." If you read down at the bottom, you're going to see 2 names. You're going to see the name of Dr. Denman Waldo Ross, one of the preeminent scholars and museum curators and wizards of the Chinese art world from the Industrial Revolution through the 1920s, 30s, so forth. And then to his good friend, John Arthur McLean, who was involved with the formation of the Asian art collection at the Fogg Art Museum, the Museum of Fine Arts Boston, the Cleveland Art Museum, the Chicago Art Institute, on and on and on. 2 guys that had an enormous impact on the collections of American museums in particular, their Asian art collections, that to this day are important. And these were 2 of the guys that really got it going. Two of the central key figures. There were others, but boy, these guys were right there. And this belonged to Denman Ross. and he left it to John Arthur McLean, and the family has kept it ever since McLean died in 1964. It's been descended through the family, and they are now selling it. And here it is with an estimate of $600,000 to $800,000. Do not be surprised if that estimate gets blown up. It's hard to say what's going to happen because of all the turmoil in the world and things going on between China and all that political stuff that drives everybody nuts. But we'll see how this plays out. But these are stupendous. And the enameling on them, I wish they had given a better way to blow them up so you could really get in close. For some reason, they didn't do it with all the lots in this catalog. But if you're able to get in and see these, the quality of the enameling on these is beyond. Any rate, and they appear to be in great condition, and as a result, they have a nice big estimate. All right, now, here's part of the article. In the catalog. It's pages of information here and here and here. And there's a picture of Mr. McLean right here. There he is. All right, and go read it. It's worth reading. It's over on the bookshelf. All right, and then heading over to Bonham's, there's 4 lots I want to go through, and the last one, stick around, is unbelievable. Is if you are Ming or Yuan to early Qing dynasty, mostly Ming, bronze collector, you want to check this out. They have a bunch of lots from Robert and Meaden Moore's collection. They've been bronze collectors for a long time, and these are not enormously crazy expensive things. These are things they have bronzes in here with in the $2,000 to $8,000 range, $10,000 range. But they're beautiful examples. They're beautiful examples with great patina, and this is just one of them. We're going to show you a couple of them, but this was one that struck me. I just thought it was particularly strong, very elegant, great color, and in beautiful condition all the way down. Nice casting, but very crisp, very strong. And I love the handles. The handles are very nice. They're very masculine, good looking, and they're carrying an estimate of $5,000 to $7,000 US, which for the bronze collector is pretty good. And then this very warm, late Ming, early Qing dynasty example. These are both about 11 inches tall. This one, again, you have this beautiful patina on the piece, lovely relief work, nice condition. The handles are well scaled and proportioned. The relief work is all nicely done, lots of detail, very clean and crisp. And estimate $2,500 to $3,500 US. Very nice. And then last is this. This is, I think, my favorite. This is the one that really jumped out of all the ones I liked. It's a silver inlaid brown Galan Ping, late Ming, early Qing dynasty. But I love the shape, the vase shape of it. I think it's absolutely wonderful. It's about a foot tall. It's not enormous, but beautifully shaped. It's got these tight, very slick rings going around the neck, and these nicely applied three mask handles, and it's divided into thirds by these dividing these bars that have been applied down the side, and then it swoops into this very nice vase form, sort of cyma-curved base, and then splays out quickly at the bottom and has a nice sharp crisp rim on it. Just beautiful. And estimated $4,000 to $6,000 US. It's 12 inches tall, and it comes with a cloth bag and a box. Alrighty, and I don't think there's much else about it. See Sotheby's Hong Kong, later Chinese bronzes from the collection of Ulrich Hausmann. That was that great, the Hausmann catalog is over in the reference section. It's a great collection of bronzes that sold a few years ago. But last, certainly not least, is this. This is an incredibly fine, very large. These vases of this color, these robin's egg blue vases that are shaped like this typically are fairly small, 4, 6, 8, 9, maybe 10 inches tall. This is a beast. This thing is 20 inches tall, and it's based on, of course, the blue and white vases that were done like this during the Chinlung period. But this time they did it this way with relief work of serpents and dragons all over it. It is Marcan period, and I think it's the only one. It came from the Youngman collection. You may know who he was. Robert P. Youngman. Let's see. There's all this other information here. Anyway, he was the oh, there it is, Robert P. Youngman. He was the fellow that had he was the jade guy. They had an auction of jade from the Youngman collection a couple of years ago. I think it was at Sotheby's. So I don't know, maybe they had a falling out with the guy family and Bonham's got this vase. I don't know. But anyway, I shouldn't say stuff like that, but who knows. Anyway, they didn't go back to Sotheby's. They went to Bonham's this time around. And they've done a great job researching this vase. And Youngman was he was part of descendants of an old Boston family, the Forbeses and the Perkinses and the Youngmans. But he was born in Washington D.C., went to Phillips Andover Academy, went into the finance world after going to Middlebury College in Vermont. He was on the board of directors and very active at Middlebury up in Vermont for decades and decades. He and his wife were huge donors to the arts to that school. He donated buildings, he donated collections, he funded chairs for curators. Fantastically generous people, but they obviously still had some things that they didn't donate, and this was one of them. They had the jades, and now there's this vase. But if you pull this vase in and take a good look at it, I can see why they didn't want to sell it. Somebody didn't want to sell it. It's so absolutely beautiful. Robin's egg blue glazes come in a variety of qualities, different qualities, but this is about as good as it gets. And if you look at it up close, it looks as though the glaze is still liquid almost. It looks like it hasn't quite hardened up yet. It's still, you see the flows, the drips, how it ran down. Here's the mark on the bottom. And here's a really good look at how the glaze ran, and how as it runs it creates these natural sags and lines with bright green to dark blue, just splendid all the way around. It looks like it came out perfectly, absolutely perfect, all the way around. This is there's another side of it here if it'll load. There it is. Notice how it swirls, just cosmic how this thing swirls around. But really what makes it is its marking period, it's Youngzheng, it's huge, 20 inches tall. And from what I gather, it's the only one, which makes it incredibly interesting. The estimate on it is big. I think it's $400,000 to $600,000. But boy, what a piece of porcelain this is. This is like, if you're going to own one piece of robin's egg, own this. You know, you don't have to own any others. This is all you need. And we're going to see how it does. Of course, it's $400,000 to $600,000, but splendidly beautiful, great provenance, and came from a guy that really cared about collecting and was extremely scholarly, and the books about his things and all that stuff. So he's good collection, good solid collection. Anyway, those are the pieces that jumped out at me. There are other things obviously that they're selling. There are lots of great snuff bottles coming up. There's some very nice Himalayan and Tibetan bronzes, some big ones, and go check them out if you're a bronze person. And there's some good, very fine Japanese, some Meiji things also. So hopefully they'll all do well. And don't forget, Doyle's has a great sale coming up too. They have some very nice things, and Richard's been working hard over there. I've heard from a couple of people that have been poking around that he's heard from that watch the videos and use our site, and they've bought there in the past and been very pleased. So keep your eye on all of them if you can do it. There's a lot to do. All right, and thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. We do these videos every week, at least one a week, and sometimes a couple a week when there's something going on that we want to cover. And we're working on doing more videos about general fancy furniture and art, maybe stories that go with them. We haven't quite figured out how we're gonna go do that to make it really interesting. But it is something that we're working on, and the Bittermont Live site has had a lot of activity lately. Thank you all. I've noticed quite a few people are doing some real serious business over there. I'm glad to see it. All right, have a wonderful rest of your week. We'll be back Friday with the regular video, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye.